everyone, thank you for checking out Direct Gaming, the place for gaming discussions and in-depth guides for all things games. If you want the chance to discuss all things gaming live, make sure to hit the sub button and like the video to get notified, and join us every weekend on stream at 7 p.m. Who knows, your question could be shown in the next video. Thanks for checking out the channel, and we hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so as people might know, Mario Kart World obviously released with Switch 2. Right, you had the typical bundle pack, especially for those who wanted, you're technically saving $30 instead of trying to pay the full $80 for the game. Whether or not you think it's worth that is completely up to you, but that's what we're going to be talking about right now as well. And overall, in terms of the business side of everything, Mario Kart World has been an absolute success. The Switch 2 has been selling crazy numbers like no tomorrow, and obviously a lot of that is probably bundled with Mario Kart World, so technically a lot of people have the game. A lot of people jumped on, played it, and all that stuff. And for the most part, systems themselves are still selling at a pretty good pace. You can go out and I believe still find them within stores in certain areas, other places not so much. I know here in Japan, we just passed 1.5 million sold, which is crazy compared to the first Switch sold, at least within that first couple of months. But you still can't really walk into stores here and buy them just off the shelf. You still have to order them or enter into what's called a lottery system here, unfortunately. I do know over in the States, however, and some other countries, you can walk in and buy them depending on where you live. So I'm guessing big cities, San Francisco, LA, New York, things like that would be my guess that you can find them. Not really sure. I'll ask my friend here, Lemon, in just a second. So overall, though, I think financially and just simply in terms of all the sales and everything, yeah, it's been a major success. That shouldn't be a shocker to anybody. However, when you go online or you talk with people who have actually played the game, especially with going online, there's a lot more mixed feelings, I would say. Now, part of that could easily simply be trying to get used to something that's very different compared to the past few games and everything like that, because it's always been between 8 to 12 players for 3 laps, bunch of courses, yada yada. This introduces a completely new open world thing now, where we've got these highway sections now that are also connected with the courses themselves. You obviously have all of the Grand Prix stuff that are not your typical Grand Prix, where you're part of the laps are driving through everything, and then you get to the course and you only have one lap, which feels very short. And then you also have the online sections where you can't play knockout with your friends, which I kind of get, but at the same time, it'd be nice if we could. And at the same time, we're not getting the ability to just do normal courses for the most part, right? Now, could they fix that by simply saying, okay, look, if you want to pay 24 players, then you're going to have to deal with the highway stuff. If you want to do 12 players, then it's going to be your typical 3 courses. Who's to say? Nintendo has generally never really listened to the discourse and everything of saying, hey, we would like this in the game. They don't generally really put that in or anything like that. So, but one thing I will say right now, after having played this game for basically a month now, I mean, August is next week, so almost a month. I got my Switch 2 in very early July. I really like the game, but I'm not the biggest fan of the highway sections. That's just my personal opinion. Not saying they're bad or anything, just I'm not the biggest fan of them, because it feels like they're kind of shoving it down our throats to constantly play them. I like them in Knockout Tour personally, because that just simply makes sense. 24 players, chaos, quote unquote racer battle royale style stuff. Actually really like that. It makes sense, especially with the items and how clumped together everybody is. I actually personally like it. In terms of normal online races, they can be hit or miss. There are a few highway sections that are nice, others not so much. They're honestly kind of boring. And it's like, if Knockout Tour is supposed to be that, where you interact with those highway sections, then why are we being forced to use them in normal races, essentially? So again, that's just my personal 2 cents on that kind of stuff. I understand why it's there. I understand why some people do like it, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan of it, I would say personally. Do I think Mario Kart World is all of a sudden going to start losing players in the next year or so? It's never going to be as successful as Mario Kart 8. Personally, no. Although I will make a quick note right here, is that when you're playing online, especially even on a Friday evening like right now, most of my races are never fully, completely human. Like, there are still a bunch of CPUs used in there, and it's really easy to find out who's an actual player and who's not. So just keep that right there. Now, obviously, I know a lot of people have not just gone out and buy the Switch 2 day one, because a lot of people are waiting for having more exclusives and everything. That's completely your right. You're personally within your right in order to do that type of thing. I personally bought a Switch 2 early because of A, what I do here, and B, just because I buy into the system knowing that in the next 8 years, I'm going to have a ton of games to play and everything. It's the same thing that happened with the Switch, PS5, PS4, PS3, Wii. The list goes on and on. We've talked about this at length here on this channel before, where I hate to break it to everybody, but the number of exclusives released at the beginning of a console's lifespan has never really been that high. There's usually been 1 to 2, and then it's over the course of time. So generally, when you buy a system at the beginning of its lifespan, you are buying into it for the long term. You're not buying it to then sell the console, at least most people, sell the console a month or two later. That's generally what people don't do. So just to keep that in mind right there. And I do want to acknowledge the comment here in the chat, because obviously we're doing this live as well. It's only been 2 months. Give it till Christmas time when the majority of players and more consoles will be sold. And you are absolutely correct. Like I said, a lot of people just simply haven't bought the console right now. They're going to wait for the holidays and everything. I'm sure there's going to be some more stuff. I mean, we've even seen that there's going to be a Pokemon ZA bundle now. It's not like a special Switch 2 edition or anything like that. It's just literally Switch 2 with Pokemon. That will probably sell like hotcakes, but at the same time, Pokemon ZA is also on Switch 1, so we'll have to wait and see how much better it runs on Switch 2, because there's no denying that the Switch 2 version will most likely run better, just performance-wise. And if a lot of people look at that, then they might be like, oh crap, I want to play it on the Switch 2. I want to play it on my Switch 1 right now, which is going to chug at like 15 frames a second. I mean, heck, even my wife, who is a crazy Pokemon fan, who has captured pretty much every single Pokemon in the main Scarlet game and is finishing up the DLC bundle right now, she went back to try and play a Pokemon on her Switch OLED that she has, and within 5 minutes she was just like, nope, I need the Switch 2. She literally yanked the controller out of my hand, turned off Donkey Kong Bonanza, and started playing Pokemon again. I was just like, all right. So that's what it is right there. And one thing I will say that I've also kind of mentioned beforehand as well is that when it comes to the game being $80, regardless if you got this as a bundle or not, it being $80, I think Nintendo really could have saved themselves some PR nightmares if they had said, look, this will cost you $80, but all DLC going forward for the next 4 to 5 years, completely free. And that includes new tracks, new characters, yada, yada. Now, I know that's pretty risky, essentially, if you can't deliver on that, for example, but I think that would have helped them out a lot right there. So, but Lemon, as you are someone who's always hanging out and streaming with us, and as always, thank you for hanging out with me. I want to get your thoughts on Mario Kart World. Do you think it's good, bad? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Just give me your raw, honest thoughts and opinions on it.
All right, so technically not Mario Kart World, but the Switch 2. So news came out though from Circana. The Switch 2 is the fastest selling console launch ever.
Yep.
Full stop.
Yep.
So a lot of those are including the Mario Kart World bundle. So this game sold a lot of copies. A lot of them they probably aren't going to be doing tracking for, because it's bundled game, and how this tracking stuff is a very not a very precise art.
It can be a little loose. It can be a little loose every now and then. Yeah,
is you're being very generous to them.
I'm just
very,
being
very
generous. It is what it is.
So this game sold a lot of copies. I like it. The game's fun. It's great. But it's not better than 8. I think you touched on the whole straightaway thing. So the chunks between the tracks, I get it from a Grand Prix standpoint, but they're not tracks. They should not show up when I'm doing a Grand Prix online, the normal non-knockout tour race. I should have to play them. I don't want to play them, and I'm tired of them forcing it down my gullet. It was nice when I was able to do random. It would give me a random normal track. But they instead nah. You can do the straight line races.
Yeah, they unfortunately did that. For people who don't know, when they started when they had their big first major updates, they essentially changed how random works, where now it's like random can still get selected if enough people pick it, obviously, just like any selection. But the chances of random actually giving you a random course are like slim to none, basically. Like if you remember randos from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or pretty much any game essentially when it comes to Mario Kart, you know that you were not going to be playing the courses that were being picked. And now it's like, at least what it feels like, at least 80% chance you are going to play one of the courses that are there to just pick from the start, essentially. So
yeah, and
anyway,
it sucks
go ahead and continue.
a lot. It's not fun at all. I hate it. I hate straight line races a lot. They're just not fun to play. It's just effectively who can throw the most shells to get in first place. And it really isn't even about how well you race. It's how well you've done in the last like 5 seconds, because everyone's so clumped together. But yeah, I mean, to go back to the original title of this stream, is Mario Kart a flop financially? No. Is it a flop in terms of a sequel to Mario Kart 8? I would think kinda. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of DLC for it. It's gonna be great, I'm sure. But right now, with what we have, they went all in on open world, and it just didn't pan out. It's just not. It's not as good as a traditional game because the tracks aren't as fun. They're kind of lifeless. Again, a lot of straight lines. It just doesn't work as well as traditional tracks. Which again, it's innovation's cool. I love it. It's great. It's very cool trying something new, reinventing the formula. But at some point you do have to kind of reflect and say, hey, did this work? I expect Nintendo didn't do that, because I don't think this game works well in a multiplayer format. Single player, it's great. It works. Grand Prix work fine. As a multiplayer though, outside of Knockout Tour, which I could rant all day about how script multiplayer is too, but I'll keep this in the whole paper bag. I think it missed the mark a bit. 8 feels more complete, which again, it's a very old game. I mean, most people played on the Switch, and at that point, it was already a port of a Wii U game.
Yep.
So we got a complete game with benefits on the Switch, but I don't know. $80 seems very steep for a game this. I don't know. It feels a bit bare bones. There's a great base to work off of, but that's all we have as a base.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna have to go probably pay out the ass for DLC, unless it's gonna be bundled again with the super fancy version of Nintendo Online. But seeing how greedy Nintendo's gotten, maybe that's not even gonna work anymore. I'm going to have Nintendo Online plus having to go now buy the DLC pack. So
that is very true. Nintendo has definitely gotten very corporo, to say the least.
Oh yeah, I mean, and from a financial standpoint, good on them. That's what they have to do to keep the green line going. Green line always has to go up. Fine. As a gamer, not thrilled about it. Not thrilled as a consumer. They have to pay so much money for this stuff. And I feel like I kind of got a bit ripped off with Mario Kart World. I feel like this game is a bit threadbare at times.
Well, there are
sure it's this cool open world, but the tracks aren't fun.
Well, and then I've also noticed that there's some stuff that we had in Mario Kart 8 that are not here for some reason. It's just like, why isn't this was literally in your last game? How is this not, here in this game essentially? So I'm not sure what the heck happened there, but it's on the weird side in my personal opinion. So, but
does it matter to Nintendo? I mean, they got their money, they got their bag.
I'm just saying, no. It's
this game's
gonna
sell buku bucks,
right? It's unfortunately just the same thing that we see with tons of multiplayer games for the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years, I would say, where for some reason, new multiplayer game comes out in a franchise, be it Call of Duty, be it Battlefield, be it, Mario Kart, whatever. And there's a feature that we loved in the previous game that should not be that hard to implement. And yet it's not there when the new game comes out. And it either gets added later or it's not added at all. And it's just like, why? Why is it not there, essentially? Which I've never been a fan of. We can go back to and this happens in both my smaller world of technology, but it happens in most technology companies at this point, is the notion of the minimum viable product. So effectively, this game feels like the MVP. Like, they got the game running. It runs actually really well. I mean, from a technical standpoint, this game is solid. It is a very solid game. And having played Donkey Kong Bonanza,
there's a lot of slowdowns in that game. Whereas this game, this thing is rock solid. I do not, at least visually speak, I do not see as many slowdowns in this game as say Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I think Bonanza is definitely more CPU intensive. Just as a
I just think that, oh no, Bonanza as a whole is a lot more intensive of a game. Mario Kart's just racing games in general are not as intensive as a an action game or a platformer.
Plus you can literally destroy like most of the levels in that game. So
exactly, like I'm not, but Mario Kart World's a very competent game. There's no issues with it. It's a really strong base, but there's not a whole lot more than that. Yeah. So credit's due, but it's a bit threadbare as well.